Okay, so as a group, we were deciding on what we should do our study on. We didn't really want to do one on something that was well known, like how social media affects people's self-esteem. We really wanted to do something on. We really wanted to do a study on something which was happening in our daily lives and something that's affecting us now and in the present. We we thought that now with this coronavirus going on and quarantine, that we as a group thought it would be a great idea to do a study on the COVID-19 and how isolation would affect our happiness levels. Okay, so going on to our introduction. So 20 minutes a day sitting or walking in a place was actually shown to lower your stress hormone levels, which is a study that we found. As being in nature makes people much happier and less stressed out. So since the coronavirus has led people to remain in isolation without human contact, people have become distressed and their stress levels have risen because of the quarantine and the change in lifestyles as people obviously have changed like new routines as everything would be changed. So like people that would go to the gym in the morning obviously can't really do that. So their whole routines for the daily lives would have been changed, which can put a serious which we thought would put a serious impact on people's emotions and their happiness levels. So we wanted to see if nature will elevate our happiness levels as people that can go to the parks or just out for a walk will do anyway in um, decreasing depression and unhappy thoughts during quarantine. So we saw that in a study which examined the benefits of nature on our mind and behavior. The researchers found that going into nature helps people resolve issues or problems in their lives, which makes it easier to create these happy thoughts, and that nature is actually very, very well impacted and correlated to the fact that you will become happier during your time outside than rather being stuck indoors. So we really wanted to find, we really wanted to see if there was in any way a relationship between uh, between going out and increasing happiness levels. So our hypothesis, so does time spent outside affect an individual's level of happiness when in quarantine due to COVID-19? And we also wanted to see that the more the individual goes out, whether it be a walk or a run, or simply to read a book outside, will uplift an individual's mood, ultimately increasing their happiness during the quarantine. So when we were looking for research that would somewhat correlate to this, but back up why we're wanting to study this, we came across this article. So this article was called "Happiness is in Our Nature." The researchers were Nisbet, Zelensky, and Murphy, and they were aiming to determine whether nature relatedness, which is an individual's level of connectedness within the world, affect their subjective well-being. So this article and research finding is similar to our research topic because its hypothesis matches up to ours. A disconnection from nature may have determined effects on our happiness levels. Similarly, they used the Likert scale in one of their three tests, which is our main form of recording our data. And also that the purpose of the study is similar to ours in the sense that they too believe that nature, being out in nature and leaving your home during this time, has a less puts less stress on your body, decreases your bad mood swings and unhappy thoughts. So furthermore, speculating that healthcare professionals may consider that nature therapy in treating such conditions. So that they're actually in this research, they were thinking that being outside could be classed as a psychological therapy, that it is such a thing that being outside can definitely help with thoughts going on in the brain. So we saw another study that was examining the health benefits of walking in nature, where the researchers found that going for a walk in nature can lower the stress response of people. So this affects the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands in the brain. Um, it also affects the amygdala in the brain, how amygdala is very focused on the emotions of the brain. So this will completely change the stress in the body, as everything will be not as hypersensitive during this time when they're outside. So when we're gathering our data, we came up with 285 anonymous participants. We were aiming for around 300, so 285 was definitely nice to get. Where we got 205 females and 78 males, where one was non-binary and one was gender fluid. We were really aiming for a 50-50 split in the male females, but I guess that didn't really go to plan. But 205 females, 78 males, one non-binary, and one gender fluid. 285 participants altogether. So our sampling technique was convenience sampling, where we created a survey and we sent our survey out through our social media platforms, also texting it to relatives and other social ways, as we thought during the quarantine we couldn't really go out and do a study in that sense with quarantine going on. So we thought that this was the next best bet for us. It definitely was different to what we were expecting, but our results came to a very nice conclusion. But the race gap and the ethnicity gap was 36% were Hispanic or Latina, 35 white, 10% Mexican, 3.2 Middle Eastern, and so forth. So it was a wide variety of ethnicities and races, which was definitely nice. We didn't really want to focus on one specific ethnicity. So definitely happy about how our participants were definitely mixed in races, which was definitely nice for us. So getting onto our procedure, like I said, so we recruited participants through linking the survey to our social media platforms, where participants were instructed to answer the survey to the best of their ability. There's one survey with 3 sections of questions where the participants would answer. Section 1 consists of questions tracking the participants' outdoor activity level during this month of quarantine. For example, this would be like, how often do you go outside daily? That was one of our questions. Section 2 consists of questions where we ask participants to rank the frequency they feel a specific emotion. So we had a set of emotions such as sad, happy, anxious, like this, and you would rate on a scale of 0 to 5 how are you feeling during, or a scale of 0 to 5, and they'd note down what number they feel correlated to that, for that word and that emotion. Such as like, so how frequently have you felt during happy, sad, and anxious and motivated? And how does the following image make you feel? So our section 3 consists of demographic questions about the participants themselves, such as, like I said, what their age was, what their ethnicity and gender was, and that all the responses given will remain completely anonymous. We only knew their first and their last initials of their name, so we didn't know the person. We just knew, the first and last initials when they submitted the test. So we knew no personal information about them, just the information they were willing to give. So when it came to our results, so our hypothesis was in actual correct. There was a very strong relation between outdoor time and increased levels of happiness. So as you can see here, our positive correlation, so our R score was definitely positive with the 0.23, and the p-value was the 0.0 continuous 89. So we were very happy about that, to say that it was statistically significant to people going outside. and then that there was a negative correlation that was not statistically significant. So that was definitely nice to see that that it definitely connected to our hypothesis. So we were very happy about that. Going on to the total positive emotions and the negative emotions. So for this, our mean for total positive emotions, so this was when we had the 0 to 5 scale on the emotions that were listed, and we calculated them all up and worked out the mean. So the mean was 22.01, and there was 25 emotions. So the mean was 22.01 on a scale of 0 to 5, where the standard deviation was 9.1. And that was all the positive emotions tallied up as well. So our total and negative emotions were also there. As you can see that the mean from negative emotions to positive emotions was much higher. So this shows that when we asked the participants to see what their emotions was linked to the words we chose, that more people were feeling more negative emotions than they were positive emotions, as the negative emotion mean is much higher, so more people would have picked the higher number scale on the negative emotions. And then when it comes to our age, so our mean participation age was 38.64, so just round it up to 39. We were happy about this. We wanted it to be more locally to college students, mid 30s to 20s, but we're definitely happy with having, I mean, that is not elderly and not young, so we were definitely happy that it was still in the mid-range between what we were looking for. So yeah, our mean age was 38.64. When it came to our graphs, so this graph shows what people were actually doing outside. As you could see, the highest one was right here, is 24.1% go outside. When they go outside, they do walk or light exercise. And you can see the strenuous, gardening, the house maintenance, playing with animals, and all of that. When you go into here, the amount of people who claim to be happy when outside on a scale of 0 to 5. So more people were in the 3 range of being happy, which was surprising. But when we go into here, this was exactly the same, but on the scale of sadness. So sadness was 2, which was not frequent, which we were also surprised about. So for our discussion, so our study, which pertains to outdoor activity and nature bringing about happiness, is topical and relatable to every person on the planet, especially in this time of worldwide isolation. Everyone experiencing quarantine at the moment, which creates the unusual situation of many people seeking the outdoor after being cooped up for long periods of time. Similar to other research, and results coincide with researchers studying similar fields, creating a strong emphasis on what is happening to all of us during quarantine. So according to a study from 2020 from China, the coronavirus is the greatest challenge facing mankind. And we also found an article from this year which stated that the new world, how our world after the coronavirus will completely change, and there will be a lot of fear and close and strict monitoring on the health of people and effects of their mental state. So our problems when we came to doing this, so some of the problems that came from doing our studies, that there are other limitations, that our people like to stay indoors and hardly ever, or not at all, dislike or prefer not to experience nature. Another drawback is that some people may not have gotten to take the survey, as we shared the survey on social media, when some will take a break from social media to rejuvenate their mental health and well-being. So we understood that there's definitely some drawbacks to doing this online. So the limitation this study could have in sampling coming from people who do not use their social media or online technology. Many people in the older generations, like seniors, are absent from social media or may have an older generation phone that does not have access to the social media. And that some people will shield themselves from negative news by going off social media from periods of time. So we definitely understood that, that not everyone has access to social media, and some people are taking a break from social media to understand, to increase well-being. Currently, there is no hypothesis because there are infections yet. And goes on to the references, and here's our references. All right, thank you.